Okay, well, we are excited today to have Danetta Sabin come and meet with us today and for our webinar calling Beating the Summertime Emotional Roller Coaster. Danetta Sabin lives in Springville, Utah with her husband and two boys. The boys are ages 11 and 14. The 11-year-old has a diagnosis of ADHD and the 14-year-old has an ADHD and autism diagnosis. Danetta also deals with ADHD and has overcome many additional mental illnesses by implementing many methods and treatment options. Danetta has been married for 15 years this August to Shelby Sabin. She has her bachelor's degree from the University of Utah in general psychology with a minor in autism studies, and from the University, UVU, Melissa Nelson Center. She is currently halfway through with her master's, and at the time she was studying clinical mental health counselor, but now it's psychology, right? And possibly teaching, and has been with Ability First Utah since December 2021. Danetta enjoys getting out in nature, camping and riding ATVs with her family, and also enjoys going shooting and exploring different parts of Utah. Danetta likes to read romance novels. However, that doesn't occur a lot due to work and school and running her children around everywhere. Danetta comes from a family of 11 and is the second to youngest, raised by a single mom in Utah County. And I know that we're in for a treat because Danetta has been studying and just finished finals and was able to fit us into her schedule. So we're really grateful for that. And Danetta, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right. Let me see if I could share my screen.
I might need to you were. Good, great.
Okay. All right. So beating the emotional time, the summertime emotional roller coaster. I know as a parent myself of special needs children, this is something that happens year after year after year. And it's frustrating as a parent because we want, summertime, we think of, happy times, getting things accomplished, spending time with family. But when these meltdowns are happening very frequently, it's hard to enjoy that time as a family and time, going out and, exploring and doing things. So there's been a few things that I have found that both through research and implementing this into my home that has really helped in reducing a lot of these outbursts, or at least reducing the intensity of them. So it may not completely get rid of the meltdown, but it can reduce how severe that meltdown is. So first thing is you got to understand what is going on for these kiddos. There is tons of emotions that these kids are feeling, especially right at the first part of summer. We have excitement, school's out, summer started, they don't have to get up at their butt crack of dawn to get to school. There's just a lot of excitement. Maybe there's summer vacations that they know are planned. But they also have a lot of fear and worry. There's a lot of fear and worry because there is a lot of unknowns that happen through the summer. They don't have a routine like they had through the school year. You think school's in for 9 months. They have a schedule of basically where they are down to the 5-minute increment for 9 months. So they know what to expect and when to expect it. Once summer hits, that routine kind of falls away. So this gives them a lot of anxiety, fear, worry, just a lot of these emotions because they don't know what to expect and there's not that schedule anymore. We also see a lot of sadness and depression through, especially the first part of summer and then towards the end of the summer. And this is because they get used to seeing their friends, their classmates, their teachers on a daily basis, and now that's gone. And especially I don't know about your guys' school districts or where your kids are in school, but my kids, their friends may live multiple blocks away. And with my schedule, I can't always get them to and from a friend's house. So they end up not seeing those friends that they hung out with all school year, and they don't get to see them till the next school year. And then lastly, we have a lot of boredom that happens. They went from having anywhere between 90 to 100% of their day planned out for them, at least while they're at school. And then even when they get home, most kids have some chores to do, then they know that they have homework, and then, dinner time, cleanup, all those things. So there's still kind of a schedule. But during the summer, this doesn't happen as often. And all of these emotions come down to them having meltdowns. And these are just the basic emotions that we're going to see through the summer. But all of these plus more will come into meltdowns. And I'm sure that all of you guys have experienced this before. So what happens during summer break? First, they're sleeping in. Either, especially parents that may not, if we have parents that are off during the summer too, there's a lot of sleeping in. There's a lack of routine. There's boredom, which 90% of behaviors are actually caused by the child or the individual being bored. So 90% of, sorry, I forgot to add negative behaviors, are caused by boredom, which if you think about it, that's a lot. 90%. So, and then there's a lot of time that are spent on the electronics, which leads to a decline in their mental health status. It also reduces the amount of physical activity that they're getting, or they're getting inconsistent physical activity because they are spending that time on the devices. So one of the things that you guys can do to try to reduce the behaviors and disruptions in their mental health is to set a routine for your child. Over on the right side of the screen, I've given just a very basic schedule that you can try to implement. I know if you're a working parent, this will be really hard to do. And being a working mom myself, I know how much of a struggle this is for me. So I'll get to what you can do if you're a working mom as well. But if you are a stay-at-home mom, try having a schedule, and it does not have to be them waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning. You can do it at 9 o'clock, like whatever works for you guys, but try not to go past like 10 o'clock when they wake up, just because a lot of their day gets disrupted by that point. So this is just, an easy schedule, hopefully that can be incorporated into someone's that is a stay-at-home mom. For parents that work, what I've done with my kids, and my kids are both old enough to stay home for a few hours with me and my husband kind of checking in on them throughout the day by themselves. So I wake them up before I leave for work, and then I set a basic schedule of what I want them doing. I'll say, okay, I want you, to get up and get dressed, eat breakfast, and I don't put timelines on the schedule when I'm not there. Just because most kids are not going to follow a time schedule. But we're going to have an outline of activities or something that they need to be doing. They get their chores done, they get, let's say, a load of laundry done, whatever it is, they eat, and you just have some things outlined for them to do, and then you check in throughout the day, whether it's text or phone call or something, to make sure they're staying up on that. Again, this isn't perfect, but do the best you can with what resources you have, because I know this is not an easy thing for both working and stay-at-home moms or parents. So another important thing to do that will help reduce behaviors is making sure that their basic needs are met. Every human has basic needs. We need sleep, we need to eat, We need a loving and nurturing environment, and then we need our physical and mental engagement needs met as well. So that means like engaging with others. Humans are social beings, and we do need to engage with others. So giving that time to them, whether it's, getting with some other parent groups and having them interact and engage with, kids their age, or getting them out their friend's house if they have friends that live close by, doing what you can to get them out, or even going, depending on the age of your children, maybe going to like the mall, the university mall, where that play place is a great area for them to get that social interaction. And you can also, like, I think they have free Wi-Fi there. At least they did last time I was there, which was like 3 years ago. So don't quote me on that. But you can also sit down and get a few things done that you need to do while they're getting that social time. For older kids, getting them to like the reservoirs, where, in that way they're getting the physical activity, they're getting the sunshine, which is really important for vitamin D, which will help reduce mood swings. And they also get that social interaction with others, because there's a lot of people at the reservoirs. So any of these things are going to be important to do. But also lastly, another thing to do is make sure whatever your child or youth is doing is an appropriate task for their cognitive level. And you guys know what where your children are cognitively. So if you're doing something that is like over their head, it's going to cause boredom, it's going to cause frustration, and you're going to have more behaviors and mood swings. If it's too low functioning for them, again, they're going to get bored, they're going to lose interest, and you're going to have behaviors again there. So you do want to make sure that it is, appropriate on their cognitive level. All right, so how do we handle these emotions when they arise? Like when we're in the moment. Sometimes, especially when we're at home during the summer, I feel that many parents are living in like survival mode, doing whatever they can to keep their kids from killing each other, keep yourself from, wanting to strangle your children. You're doing whatever you can to keep them alive. And so our emotions are heightened already. We're already frustrated, we're tired, because we're having to provide now in 100% of that, 100% of the activities to keep them busy, which is exhausting. So the first thing to do is come to their level. And what this means is you're moving your eyes to meet where their eyes are. So if you're working with a 2-year-old, you're going to go down on your knees and you're going to talk to them, eye to eye. Obviously, if you're working with, a really tall individual, and for me, like, if I was to work with someone that's like 6 foot, I know there are some kids out there that are like 6 foot right now. And I'm 5'5". So I'm not going to stand on a chair to try to engage with him eye to eye, but I am going to, be looking up at him to try to get that eye to eye contact. But it is easier when the child is littler or, smaller than us, because we can move down to their level. But this is important because it's showing that you are engaged with them. You are wanting to know what is going on with them. In a way, it's a validation it's validating them that they're important and that you do care about what's going on for them. Second is listening to your child. Let them express what is going on. Do not try to talk over them. Don't interrupt them. Let them go at their pace. Sometimes if you need clarifying questions, if you're not quite understanding what they're saying, you can, interrupt and be like, okay, are you feeling this? To try to, are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling mad? To try to help them put the names to what they're feeling. That's okay to do, but overall, try to just be that listening ear. Again, it just shows that it shows them that they're important and that you do care about what they are feeling. Another thing is validating their feelings. And this one can get tricky as a parent because sometimes we look at them and, they're having feelings of let's say a ball burst, like a soccer ball burst, and they're, very emotional because the soccer ball burst open. Okay, well, to us, that may not seem like it's really worth crying over. It's a soccer ball, right? But to them, what does that signify for them? Was it, was that soccer ball really was it given to them as a present? Was there a significant meaning behind that soccer ball? So don't just look at an item and be like, oh, this is nothing, you shouldn't be crying over this, because for whatever reason they are upset, and we do need to validate that even if it doesn't make sense to us. So kind of the best way to go about that is by saying, hey, I could see you're really upset, tell me more why you're upset, and let them have their emotions. Again, try not talking over them. If you do need those clarifying questions, ask them. But overall, just validate them. Hey, I could see you're upset. What's going on, or, all of these things will help them just, again, feel validated and feel like you care about them more than just on a superficial level. Number 4 is help them problem solve. So if it is a soccer ball that bursts and they are really upset about it, okay, so you've now validated their feelings. They've been able to express their feelings, but now let's work on, problem solving. But instead of you saying, okay, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this to fix the problem, ask them, what can you do to fix the problem? This is going to give them lifelong skills, skills that are important for them to grow up learning. So that way they can problem solve in a workplace. They can problem solve when they move out on their own. They need to be able to problem solve. And if we always step in and say, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this to fix the problem, they're not learning to critically think on their own. So we need to give them that chance to do that. But sometimes, like with my kids, I know my youngest, when I ask him for, what his thoughts are, his ADHD gets too jumbled, and like his thoughts get too jumbled in his head because of his ADHD. And so I do need to help him. He'll come up with, 1 or 2 ideas, and then I help him narrow those ideas down further. So we work together to problem solve. So we kind of just bounce ideas off of each other. Again, this gives them important skills, as well as it gives them communication skills as well as problem solving skills that they can use in their future as they get older. Because even that communication of sitting down and bouncing ideas back and forth and trying to problem solve together is crucial in a workplace or even in school. So all these things will help them with additional skills that they need to learn as they get older. And then lastly is helping them achieve the solution that they came up with. So we'll stay with the soccer analogy. We have them, okay, he says, okay, I can get a new soccer ball. Well, okay, how are you going to do that? Because again, at least with my kids, and I know a lot of what I do as a coordinator is I'm teaching these skills to them so they can do it on their own. So if my son was to say, oh, I can buy a new soccer ball. Okay, that's great. How are you going to come up with the money? Are you going to do a couple extra chores to come up with the money? Or are you going to go mow someone's yard? Like, again, coordinate it to the age of your child. It's going to look different depending on the age of your child. You're not going to say, hey, you're going to earn money with a 2-year-old, but maybe an 11-year-old, that's okay. So those will all help you handle those emotions while they're in the moment. And it'll also help them be able to calm down a lot quicker because they are seeing someone having empathy towards them. So another thing that is important for managing emotions is teaching coping skills. And I have created multiple lists. There are the QCR codes that will link you to the list that I've created. But one of the things that we need to teach them is how to deal with their emotions and how to cope before the emotions arise as well. So there are numerous things that you can teach them, from even just learning how to deep breathe. There's a technique called diaphragmatic breathing. It's where they put their hands on their stomach and they feel like they breathe their stomach out. And they have to keep their hands there and feel that breathing in and out. And do it, really slow. And you're counting, like to 4, hold, so it's hold in, 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe out for 4 seconds. And then just sit there for another 4 seconds. And then repeat this diaphragmatic breathing. And that alone, it helps regulate them. It helps massage the sympathetic nervous system. And so that way that can help calm us down as well. So this list has, I forgot. I don't even know how many coping skills on there, but there is numerous ones, and there's ones for almost every age level. I'm talking even down to a 2-year-old can do some of these coping skills, such as, coloring for a couple minutes, or, getting out and running around, doing some kind of exercise. All of these are coping skills that are going to help them better manage their emotions. And then teaching coping strategies is just a matter of showing them what they can do. And a lot of it comes from you modeling the coping skills. So a lot of what I do at home to teach my kids how to manage their emotions, but also I'm managing my emotions at the same time, is I'm doing my coping skills in the living room or in the kitchen, so that way my kids can see what those coping skills are. And even when I'm doing them, sometimes they come in, hey mom, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm working on one of my coping skills. Do you want to come join me? And that's a way to, it gets them so they are engaged with you, which just helps build a better bond between you and your child. But it also is teaching them those skills at the same time. So, and a lot of times, our special needs children, they are visual learners. Not always, but a lot of time, at least in my experience. So them being able to see us doing it and us modeling it is going to help them. And then after you work on that coping skill with them, ask them, okay, what did you feel in your body? What did you feel in your brain? Did you notice any differences? That way they can start seeing, okay, this one made me feel this way. This coping skill made me feel this way. Which one do I like better? And they can start creating their own repertoire of coping skills that they can use when they feel they need them. But we do need to have that discussion with them, so that way it does set into their brain a little bit better. So we're not just, oh, here's a coping skill and you've got to learn it on your own. We got to help them learn it. This is not something that is taught in schools. At least most schools. I do know that Springfield Junior High this last semester with my son in health was teaching some of these coping skills. So maybe some of the older grades might be addressing some of this in like health, but most of the time these skills are not taught in school. So it does come to us to teach them. So why are we teaching coping skills? Well, it's not only for when we're upset on a minimal level, but a lot of times we have complex emotions. There's a lot of things that, happen throughout the day that can offset what we had planned. Things not going according to plan, hitting traffic, a ball breaking, or whatever it is, okay, whatever it is for that individual. Things don't always go to plan. And so we need to be able to cope with those when they arise. So having these coping skills is just another time to use them, is when things don't go according to plan. So even when, and I think the best way to teach the kids this is when things don't go according to your plan, you practice some of these coping skills that are on that list. And again, do it in front of the child so that way they can see that you're actively trying to manage your emotions as well. And a lot of times when we're in the heat of the moment, and our emotions are heightened, it's hard to focus. And so having a list somewhere on like your device or on the fridge or something, somewhere that you can see, is going to help you remember what tools you have or what tools they have. So I encourage you guys to like print off the list that I give you guys, and put them around your house so that way they're visible. And so when those hard emotions come up, you can even say, if they come to you and be like, hey mom, I'm feeling this, you can be like, okay, which one of your coping skills would you like to try right now? And they can go over and look at the coping skill chart and figure out which one they would like to do. That's another great way to help them learn how to depend on themselves and not always on us to manage their emotions. So one of the terminology we have in counseling is a self-care plan. Has anyone ever heard of a self-care plan before?
Yes.
Okay. So a self-care plan is a routine that you put in place for you or another person that you take time every day just for yourself. It can be as little as 5 to 10 minutes or up to an hour. Or, so one of my self-care techniques is going out shooting with my family. This weekend, we went up for like 3-4 hours out shooting. So sometimes it might go longer. It just depends on what the activity is for you, and what you gain from it. But no, it doesn't have to take a lot of time to have some self-care. Find something that you enjoy, or even more than one thing that you enjoy, and plan a time for you to focus on that. So when I have worked with a lot of patients in the past, I encourage them to actually put on their calendar a reminder of like a time that they've carved out for self-care. And I encourage you guys to do the same thing, because this is something that gets forgotten really easily because we don't think of it. We think of it as being selfish, but if we're not selfish sometimes, then we can't take care of others in the long run. So self-care is important to be able to take care of yourself and others. But you can switch between self-care tasks. So some of the things that I like to do, I really enjoy coloring, and I like diamond painting as well. So I will switch off between like doing my diamond painting and doing coloring. And also depending on how much time I have is what activity I'll do. So that's one way that you can go about, putting a self-care plan in place is find some things and find ones that take different amounts of time. That way, if you only have 5 minutes, you know what you can do that only takes about 5 minutes. Or if you have an hour, you have something that takes can take about an hour. And again, with your kids, same thing. Help them figure out what they enjoy, and what does it do for them. Does it calm them down when they're doing this task? Let's say they're doing sports. They really enjoy soccer. And we are, we're saying, okay, we're noticing you're a little emotional right now. Do you want to go spend some time playing soccer? And, it kind of just helps them remind them that they have these additional tools. So one of the things that also comes up a lot during the summer, at least in my house, is the sentence, "I'm bored." Okay, I'm sure everyone else, at least I'm, hoping that everyone else has had this experience with their kids and it's not just me. But what do we do when our children are bored? But at the same time, we still have stuff that we need to accomplish, so we cannot entertain them all the time. So when they come to you saying, "I'm bored," a lot of this is actually an attention-seeking behavior. They're wanting you to tell them what they can do. But what this does is if we're always telling them what to do, again, they don't learn the problem-solving skills. And they also don't learn how to communicate well either, because again, they're just saying a simple sentence, "I'm bored." So we can ask them, okay, what are some things that you can do so that you're not bored? It's a simple sentence. You're still engaging with them. You're not completely ignoring them, but you're saying, "Hey, what do you have that you can do?" Another thing to do is, or one thing that we don't want you to do as parents is do not remind them of things that they have. Don't remind them what's in their closet. Don't remind them what's in their toy room. This leads them to becoming dependent on you to solve their problems. Instead, ask them what they can do, or what are some things that they have that they can do to fill some time. And then leave it at that. I've also created a list of some things that you can do inside the home, outside of the home, both free and moderately, like not super expensive, but moderately costly. So that way, if you guys want to get out of the house as a family, there's some lists, there's some things on the list that you guys can do as a family, or they can even look at the list and be like, "Ooh, this sounds fun. I would like to do this." Most of these things are in Utah County. And again, some of it is just, you can go to the dollar store and get craft stuff or stuff like that. So, and that right there is the QCR code for the things to do when they're bored. So I'll leave that there for just a second, and then I'll go back to the other page. Did everyone have a chance to get that?
Now I did. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So why do we put a self-care plan in place? Well, when a person is practicing an active self-care routine, they are able to take on a lot more stress and still manage their emotional and mental health. They're also able to adapt to changes in a schedule when they arise. They are able to handle, the unknowns a lot better. And also you're just going to see a lot less of the emotional roller coasters going on when they're practicing self-care. So this is something I really, really encourage with kids, kids and adults of all ages, is put a self-care plan in place. And I know, especially as a parent, and I encourage you guys as parents to put a self-care plan in place for yourself, so that way you can handle the stress of the summer. But I know when I'm not practicing my self-care, I cannot keep up effectively at work. I cannot keep up with my kids. I can't keep up with school. I can't even do anything in I notice my physical health also starts declining when I'm not practicing self-care. I don't know, that's just what I've noticed with my body, but I have heard that if you're not practicing self-care, that it can affect your physical health as well. So this is just something that's going to help you guys put everything into place and help reduce those outbursts and meltdowns. So these next, the next few slides, and I will also, there's also a QCR code for this one, or these slides. These are a lot of things that a friend of mine that has taught special education for 15 to 16 years, something like that. She put together last year for me. And it's a list of different things that you can do, outside of the home, but also inside the home to get them up and moving. So there's Active for Life. This is a website that has a lot of simple activities you can do at home. We have the Orem All Together Playground and the Spanish Fork All Abilities Playground. Both are fantastic for getting out and just getting outside, getting that fresh air, getting sunlight, but also getting them up and moving. I really like the Spanish Fork one for the summer because they have a splash pad as well. There is a few YouTube channels. Cosmic Kids Yoga, Go Noodle, the Mindfulness Teacher. All these have great resources. The Mindfulness Teacher, I think, is, if I remember right, is like meditation, but I could be wrong. So again, it's just another tool to help them learn how to de-stress and manage their emotions. And then we have the Special Olympics Utah. This program helps them develop skills, building self-esteem, and they have, year-round sports training and competitions with the Special Olympics. There's different age levels and different skill levels of the different sports as well. And then there's the Fit 5 resources, which is videos of a variety of physical activities that they can do. We have the dance club, which is Saturday afternoons, which is a dance class for students with disabilities. I do not know the cost or anything more than what I have here. Then there's Cast for Kids. This was formed in 1991 to join volunteers and having them go out fishing, with the individuals with disabilities. Sorry, I'm starting to fall over my tongue. Then there's Courage Reigns and Hoofbeat to Healing. Both of these are a horseback riding and have a lot of additional skills that they can learn by taking care of an animal. But also one thing that I don't know if anyone's heard of equine therapy. This is, last I heard, which has been a few years, was about to be an evidence-based practice for individuals with disabilities. But it teaches them, a lot of, skills on how to take care of an animal, responsibility, but it also helps them connect with an animal which provides a lot of therapeutic benefits. There's a lot of research, especially in like alcohol dependency or drug rehabs, that use equine therapy as well to help people recover from addictions. And again, it just helps them have a sense of responsibility, but there's not a lot of ties going into it. Lowe's Extreme Air Sports. I love this program. They will, if you have like a group of individuals with disabilities, so if you get like a bunch of parents together, they will do like a 1 hour a week for free for that group. You just have to contact them prior to make sure there's a good time for you to come in and go, but they'll let you guys, they'll let a group of individuals with disabilities come in for free and jump for an hour once a week. I really love to take advantage of this. Then there's the National Ability Center. They help develop lifetime skills for individuals of all ages and all abilities, providing affordable outdoor and recreational experiences. I have never gone up to this program, but I've heard amazing things about it. And I've known a lot of my families that I used to work with, they would have their kids in this program and they could not say anything but good things about them. I do know with the National Ability Center, I think is up in Park City, if I'm remembering right. So that is something that you can't do like on a spur of a moment, just because it is a longer way to drive. Okay, Wasatch Adaptive Sports. This is up in Heber. They have summer and winter sports for people with disabilities. There's Splore. Is a Utah-based nonprofit organization dedicated to enriching the lives of children and adults with disabilities through outdoor recreation. Again, I want to say this was Sundance, Heber. I can't remember. It's been a while since I looked at that resource. I think I have their website connected on the page with the QCR code though. And then there's special needs hockey and at the Peaks Ice Arena. This is an opportunity for individuals with disabilities to learn how to skate, play hockey. They can do this as long as they know how to walk. So if you have someone that's, non-mobile, this would not be an option for them, but anyone that can walk can do this one. I have been there when we've done other outings at the ice arena with special needs. And I did notice that it was difficult for those that have a hard time with balance as well. But I'm sure that the hockey coaches actually have a lot of ways to work around that. I just didn't see it when I was there. Okay, so over at the Pro Rec Center, they have a wheelchair basketball. And this is just learning how to play basketball in a wheelchair. I think it's fun, even for someone that's, mobile. One of my schools that I teach at, they played wheelchair basketball and they just used like an office chair kind of thing, or a chair that has wheels on it to play. So I would say look into them if they require a wheelchair, or see if they would allow you to bring like a wheelie chair in so you can play that way. The Pro Rec Center also has adaptive aquatics that helps teach swimming for people with physical or developmental disabilities. The Orem Rec Center has tons of activities that you can do with people with disabilities. Mapleton Recreation has sports for children with a wide range of disabilities. And they have a lot of community volunteers that act as buddies to help them during the games as well. Then there's Goal Ball, is a game for people that are blind or visually impaired. If you know someone that's dealing with that and wants to get out and get active. Okay, so here's the QCR code for all of those activities. So, does anyone have any questions or scenarios that they would like to go over?
Where was the activity for the blind or visually impaired program that you were just talking about?
I
Goal
don't
wall?
remember. I don't remember. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay, we can look it
It's
up.
been a couple months since I've looked at the resources to figure out where they are. So a lot's gone on since then.
That's great.
Danetta, thanks for putting all of these together. I feel like that was so valuable, knowing about all these resources, many of which you mentioned are free or have a subsidized cost. So that's great. I just took a screenshot of the QR code to scan and look at all of those in more depth as well.
Yeah, they are fantastic. I haven't looked into all of them, but I've heard amazing things about a lot of them.
And are we able to get your slides so we can share that with our members too?
Yeah, of course. I can send that to you.
Awesome, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for finding things that are all over the area, not
Yeah.
just located in one. I do want to add, I just found out that Legacy Lehigh Community Center has ongoing like bowling and basketball and swim and one other activity. I can't remember what it is, but we'll get that information out too. But those are awesome. I can't wait to look at them. Thank you, Danana.
Yes, of course.
Does anybody have any questions for Danetta or some thoughts about this summer? Or maybe tricks that you have found helpful? Well, Danetta, one thing that I kept thinking about through your whole presentation is that, and I know you said like sometimes we're busy and we, can't be our kids' cruise director or whatever, but it made me really think that I should be intentional and I should have things that are, planned or available for her and not just expect her to be, working around my schedule, but that this is her time. And she does have such a structured time during school that we need to follow through and make sure that we understand that it's a big change to all of a sudden go from so much structure to having to do everything on their own or not or being bored or whatever it is, and the importance of teaching independence. So I appreciate that part of your presentation. Thank you very much.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and Danetta, just to kind of go off of what Carrie just said, I feel like having the permission to let our children self-direct some of their activities with some guidance, like you said, like here's a few things that we should try to do today, but not putting a time limit on there or a strict, hour by hour schedule. I think sometimes we feel like we have to have everything planned out to the minute and like to guide and handhold and make sure all of that stuff gets done. But just hearing that you can have some loosely structured activities or options and then allow them to have some of that independence and how that's actually going to benefit them because they get to learn time management and learn some independent skills. So that's really great to be reminded of that that's okay to do and actually beneficial.
Yes. Well, and one thing when it comes to especially an ADHD diagnosis or anyone that struggles with executive functioning, having someone tell them what to do every minute of the day or even what to do when they're bored or anything, it prevents them from critical thinking and they're always going to rely on someone else. And also if we always give them a time minute by minute schedule, or if we're always reminding them to do something, again, they won't ever be able to take responsibility on their own to for time management or this, I gotta finish this by this time so I could get to this on this time. They won't ever learn those skills if we're always doing it for them. So we need to be able to, as hard as it is as a parent, we got to take a step back and let them problem solve. And even if we know that whatever whatever they came up with as a solution is not going to work, we still encourage them to go through that process so they learn how to, they learn about disappointment, they learn how to redirect, they learn how to, continue moving on if things don't work out how they wanted it.
I also like the point that you said that you have to remember what their skill set is and what they're able to cognitively be able to do. I hope everybody is able to get what they need from this presentation. It was done very well. Thank you, Danetta, and a lot of information out there. We'll have the slides and be able to send those out if you need them. So just get a hold of us. And good luck to everyone. May the force be with you this summer, because that is some scary stuff. And I know we're all really nervous about it, but I feel a little more confident. So thank you. Oh, Kathleen, Sylvia, Kathleen would like a copy of the slides.
Perfect. Kathleen, I think you're on our RSVP, so I will send the slides out to everyone that RSVP'd for the webinar. And then once the recording process is on Zoom, we will download that and send that out as well. So if you do have a friend,